Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. When UNCLOS came out in December 1982, Somalia was among the first countries to sign it. And then in 1989, Somalia ratified it. And when it ratified it, what it did was it annulled, it nullified its own 1972 law, which said Somali territorial waters stretched 200 nautical miles. So that legal inconsistency was no more because Somalia's signing of UNCLOS and ratification of UNCLOS brought Somali law inconsistency with international law. And that is some of the things that I say in my book.
Thank you very much. I see that you are very generous with your knowledge, but I want you to be economic with time. Thank you very much. So I am going to take one person from this group, one person from this group, one person from this group, and one person from this group. And please, qof kasta magaciisa iyo meesha uu ka socdo ha sheego. Su'aashana hal su'aal kaliya ha weydiiyo. Waayo dadku waa badan yihiin, waxaan rabnaa inaan ka wada faa'iidaysano so that you can give others time to ask questions. Please be very brief, and you can ask only one question at a time. So this group, Zahra, this group, Adrat Rankusa Nogdrika Seka Hortagi Ganta.
Can we say the international fleet who are here to fight the piracy are also a part of the illegal fishing in the Somali waters? There are reports that a number of NATO members countries whose warships are a part of anti-piracy programs have illegal trawlers beside their warship. Their warship fishing illegally in our waters. Thank you.
Bismillah, my name is Mohammed Adrous. I'm from Kalo Aid and Development Organization. My question is, as the doctor and the professor said, illegal trawling is a global phenomenon. And Somalia is one of the victims that suffers the illegal fishing. So my question is, as illegal trawling needs what they call comprehensive efforts and what they call enforcement, is the region Africa ready to tackle this problem jointly? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof, for your insight and deep-rooted explanation, and actually with your research and concern over what is going on in our waters. My question here is, with the presence of the international and naval forces in our waters, patrolling and fighting piracy, or with the pretext of fighting piracy, and with the presence of illegal fishing fleets in large numbers, does the international community or is the international community actually unaware of what is going on in our waters, or are they not taking that very seriously? And besides, for example, being ourselves a part of our problem with this contradicting or rivaling licenses and disagreements among ourselves, the Somalis, at federal level and member state levels, I mean, how could the international community be so naive, and the United Nations as well, and belittle what's going on in our waters? And the other concern is not only the illegal fishing. With the sophistication of industrial level factory ships presence in our waters, some of them being suspected belonging to the European Union themselves. I mean, how could that happen? How could, for example, the WTO not see and take that issue seriously and see into this? Could this be considered as an organized crime itself at state level or maybe international level? I mean, on what can we do, for example, we Somalis, besides solving the underlying problems you have mentioned and I have just mentioned, are there other ways we can approach to solve this problem? Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you. And by the way, Awet is multilingual. You can ask him questions in Arabic, in Amharic, in English, and in Somali. I don't know. If I were you, I would look for a job at the UN.
I'm not sure if they'll pay me enough.
So thank you very much.
Thank you all very much for your very important questions. I'll start in the order they came, so I'll start with Zahra. Which countries are involved in IUU fishing in Somali waters? Well, all the reports indicate or blame Iran and Yemen, and that is not untrue. What most of the reports do not tell us, and we are hard-pressed to know also, is what happens in Somalia's international waters, what happens in Somalia's exclusive economic zone, at least beyond the protected 24 nautical miles. And in those waters, many other countries from as far east as China and as far west as Spain are believed to be operating there. But it would not be appropriate and possibly an opening for legal case for me to stand here and tell you without hard proof this and that country are involved in illegal fishing. Part of knowing who is involved in illegal fishing is the challenge. And there are mechanisms whereby the identity of these fishing boats and industrial scale vessels, as the gentleman behind me said, are hidden. Mind you, this is the third most lucrative illicit or illegal business in the world. Abdullah's question, are foreign fleets that are fighting piracy complicit in IUU fishing? I do not think so. I do not believe so. But the Somali community got the perception that they are for a number of reasons. Primarily, however, lack of adequate communication between the affected communities and the foreign navies. That is a principal gap. There was a principal gap, and probably still is, in communication between these two parties. These are militaries, and anyone who is or was in the military knows how the military works. You do not do a single thing outside of your mandate. And your mandate is given to you by your home country or by your coalition. It could be NATO, EU, NAFOR, or your individual country. And the individual countries, again, as my brother at the back said, Mohammed said, the vast majority of them prefer to look the other way. Because either illegal fishing or illegal fishers control the politicians, and or illegal fishing is so lucrative that they don't want to do anything about it. Although in their books, illegal fishing is illegal, or IUU fishing is illegal. The vast majority of these countries have signed treaties banning illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing. Okay? There was one incident that inflamed this sentiment among the Somalis. Excuse me. And this involves a Spanish fishing vessel called Alakrana that was captured by Somali pirates. When ransom was paid and the ship was released, Spanish warships that were part of the EUNAVFOR counter-piracy operation escorted the ship into safety. So, is it deliberate? I highly doubt that the EUNAVFOR was out there to protect illegal fishing or to advance illegal fishing. But there is clear lapse of judgment on the part of EUNAVFOR to have that kind of escort to this ship that was captured by pirates. So, lack of communication, at least one case that I know of coincidence and lack of judgment, and mandate are the three factors to take into account in answering your question. Muhammad, is Africa ready to tackle this problem jointly? Well, Africa has a lot of problems, but it also has a lot of opportunities. Unfortunately, those opportunities have not yet reached the level of coordinated anti-IUU fishing operations or activities. But hope is not lost. IGAD has some activities on this issue. The Indian Ocean Tuna Commission is one mechanism that has a number of African Indian Ocean coastal countries. And there are other civil society, scientific, and environmental groups that join or that bring members from multiple African countries that are actively tracking IUU fishing in African waters. So, has it reached an effective level whereby the highest levels of government work together or harmonize their policies? No, it has not. But there are works on the ground going on. And finally, Muhammad in the back. So, partially your question overlaps with Abdullah's here. How do these two coincide? That is, the anti-piracy fleets and foreign illegal fishing. Well, they coincide because the fleets, the anti-piracy fleets, have not had a mandate to monitor or do something against IUU fishing. The difficulty of identifying what is legal and what is illegal aside, if these militaries, if these navies do not have a mandate, then we cannot blame them. We can blame the countries that are sending them, or we can blame the coalitions that are sending them. Not just us as individuals, but also our respective representatives in parliament and our respective governments as well, be it in Garowe or Mogadishu. Like I said, IUU fishing is very lucrative. No country openly supports IUU fishing, but when a country, 60% of the subsidy that a country gives to its fishing fleet is intended to advance its capacity, which is already very advanced, what it's telling its fishing fleet is that just do it and don't get caught. Okay? And so, what can we do? I really wish I knew. But baby steps are important here. Let's get our house in order is the first thing that all affected African countries need to do. Specifically in the case of Somalia, Puntland, and all the other member states need to have a transparent mechanisms of granting licenses in a that can sustain the fisheries. They have to combat corruption in government and out of government. And they have to harmonize their licensing and fisheries practices, not just with the next door state, but also with the federal as well. And again, here, it's not doom and gloom. There was an experimental agreement between the federal and the member states that unfortunately has lapsed, and it's yet to be replaced. This is the 2019 agreement by which the federal government would keep about 29% of the proceeds. Puntland, because of its longer coastline and concentration of fisheries, keeps, I think, 18% of the proceeds, and the other states take their proportional share. That is an important baby step that has to be maintained, but unfortunately has not been maintained.
Thank you very much. The first round of questions has taken 14 minutes. So imagine if everybody is asking questions. It will take like 3 days instead of 1 hour, which is the normal schedule given to this session. So we are assuming that, of course I'm right, not say assume, I am right to say that it's not only Awet who has experience in this, or information or knowledge. We have people from the academia, we have professors, we have intellectuals, we have people who can contribute to this. So we are not having a panel here, and it means that you can contribute if you have ideas, comments, recommendations, insight, you can share, and we'll give you, but please try to be very short and very brief so that we don't take a long time. Abdul Qadir, second. Abdul Qadir. Professor group kan. Raagi. And gabadha ka bilow. Maaskay qabta Abdul Qadir ku xiji, Professor ku xiji.
My name is Fatima Abdul Qadir from Shortai Institute. Thank you, Professor, your lecture. Actually, it was very powerful. Thank you. And after that, my question is, there is no doubt that we are facing a big problem of illegal fishing in our waters. Can this be considered as an industrial level organized crime? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Abdul Qadir.
First of all, we thank very much the professor for his work which he has done on behalf of us, or on behalf of the Somalis. We thank also him for being the voice, or raising the voice of the Somali people towards this catastrophe. My question is that first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Abdul Qadir Sheikh Mahmoud. I'm an independent researcher. Being a researcher, I know when you go to an issue, it's very difficult to get all the data, and to many other things can come into that. So my question is that illegal fishing, I hope you have written, as you have explained much, there is an issue related to illegal fishing, which is the dumping of toxic materials to our seas. It accompanies that issue. So and I don't blame you if you didn't write anything about this, because the issue is too large. But can you guys, have you met or have you gathered any data on this issue? And can you give us any information on the extent and the damaging level of this, of dumping toxic materials in our
Thank you,
seas? Thank you very much.
Professor Solopsi.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين. أما ذلك بدن أما سومالي كهلا وإنجليز كلا يقدر ترجمة.
كاد دونتو.
يا بس إنجليز ما كهلا. هيا.
عربي.
كيف هات الهذا؟ إذاكم هات الهذا.
وحير هذين في عربي كهلا بروفيسوري.
عارف كيف في عن.
تيم كان باعد صدي قبلها.
كيف في عن. أوكي. And the problem, thank you first, Mr. Awet, for Abdurrahman Ahmed Noor Sulub.
Professor Sulub.
And Marco Hare, first, thank you for coming here and giving this speech. I have a question. And maybe there's a comment, a little comment. The question is, why Africa? Why, where are and will be in the future Africa the victims? We are the victim, colonized by, for example, European colonizers. Then after that, collapsed, could not build great nations which can handle their countries, their resources, and everything. Why? What's the problem? We always count the problems, this and that. I think that my humble view is that leadership is our greatest problem. It's not maritime or illegal fishing. It is not only poverty. It is not. There are many problems. The major number one problem is leadership problem. Africa lacks to bring out the best leaders from their societies, which can handle all their problems. Thank you.
Legacy.
First of all, thank you for producing this big research, which was really useful, and we have learned a lot from it. There was a novel written by an author called George Orwell. It's called 1984. All those, countries are competing for the resources of Africa. So there is no surprise that everyone in the world is coming to get hold of or grab whatever he or she can in African resources. So, and I reckon with Professor Sulub, it's all about leadership. My fellow government officials who are here now, I'm very sorry to say that whatever you have mentioned today about the corruption and the problem that you have identified about the illegal fishing, the root cause of that is the government who is issuing the license to these companies. When your capacity is very weak and you want to give license to companies who you cannot regulate, you cannot monitor, whatever they report, whatever they say that we have captured fishes or the method that they have captured, you will believe it because you don't have any method of verifying. So my perspective is, my point of view is, I don't like this figure that you have given. Federal government will get 29%, 18% put land. I mean, it's totally nonsense. I believe that all fishing by foreign countries giving to them license should totally be stopped. And I urge ministries and government authorities who are here now to take this message to the big boss. Because this is the only way we can get rid of it. If you go to Bandarbayla, if you go to Ale, by this time, by 6 o'clock in the evening, you will see all the ships coming to the shore. They come to the coast coastal side, and the night it becomes a night. The sea becomes a night. You must have seen this when you were doing the research. So you cannot say that I will regulate and I will get this much percentage. I remember one of the ministers, the most, I salute him whenever I see him. He's called Abdurrahman. His father used to be vice president of Puntland. He was the minister of fishery in federal government. He's the one who refused to give this license, and they ganged up against him and they threw him out.
Rage, can
so
you
this is my message now is to the government and okay. Yourself also to the only thing we can take from here is to totally stop it, and for Africa to have this countries coming together is something that was predicted in 1957.
Thank you very much, Rage. I think that Rage made a more comment of a question than a question. So I'll give Rahman the question, and maybe we can have someone from the government or whoever to respond or give insight or feedback or comment on Rage's point. And okay, I'll give her next. Please.
And well, thank you very much, and Dr. Awet, and for your presentation, and of course your insights from the book. And I think it's an interesting debate we have in here tonight. And it's not only happening in Somalia, but the other countries which are EU naval forces are operating are also having a similar discussions, such as Comoros, Seychelles, and Mauritius as well. We understand that the mandate and the scope of EU naval force or EU NAV extends beyond the Somali waters, but also covers 8,700 kilometers, which includes those countries like Seychelles and Mauritius. And the EU naval force or the EU NAV under the framework or with the framework of the European Common Defense Policy and the UN Security Council has been present since 2008 in the Somali waters. And no doubt they have provided an impressive work in curtailing the seas in the crimes of the sea. But I just wanted to raise, and I'm no expert but a concerned citizen like yourself, and the mandate of the EU naval force or the Atalanta operation currently operating the Indian Ocean is coming to an end in December this year. It has been extended to 2020, but it's coming to an end this year. And in your analysis, and of course, and with respect to the changing dynamics, changing global dynamics, and also what's happening in the East European countries, Russia and Ukraine and so on, and also the soaring food prices, the staggering unemployment, and also the skyrocketing fuel prices here and also elsewhere in the country, the unemployment and the access to arms. Do you think that, or is it fair to say that piracy and illegal fishing, it's looming and it's something that's coming to reality very soon? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Maya, Regan and Katuab, we'll take this first and then we'll go to the third round. Yeah? Maybe we can have somebody respond to Rega's comment.
I will try to be briefer than 14 minutes. I'll also try to answer in the order the questions came, so I'll start from Fatima. Can IUU fishing that's going on be considered industrial scale crime? Absolutely it is. So that's my short answer. Abdulqadir, thank you very much for your kind words. Yes, I do talk about toxic waste dumping in my book starting from page 23. But like illegal fishing, I talk about waste dumping as a global problem. And there are only few cases that are known in terms of illegal fishing. I mean in terms of waste dumping in Somali waters. There are telltale signs, but not hard evidence. I have tried to track down so many individuals who knew, or who I was told knew, about where waste was buried inland. but all led to a dead end. And unfortunately, interim President Ali Mahdi passed away before I could sit down with him to discuss that issue. But the extent of its global problem, let me give you, not that it's going to make you feel any less bitter, or waste dumping in Somalia to make it any less illegal and harmful, but that it's a truly global phenomenon by mentioning that in Italy, in southern provinces in Italy, places like Naples, the Italian mafia dumped so much waste in their own lands that the US naval base there had to carry out its own independent investigation into whether that was a healthy environment for it or not. And for years, Italian authorities were uncovering waste that was dumped in their own backyard. So if it happened in Italy, you can imagine where else it could happen. There was a Somali scientist, chemist, I believe, Mahdi Ayed, I think. I have him in my book. Wrote an extensive report on waste dumping in Somalia, but the issue kind of faded, and no environmental group or no country would dare to investigate the few canisters that washed up the Somali waters during the 2004 Christmas tsunami. So that also tells you that this waste dumping problem is a deeper global problem beyond Somalia, and it's hard to combat at a local level. I'm sorry, that is as much as I could say on the topic. Professor Sulub, thank you very much. Why was, is, and will be Africa a victim? Well, I'm not sure that Africa will remain a victim. I am a little more optimistic that Africa will not remain a victim. But why it's a, well, I talk about a whole, I teach a whole course over a whole semester. You yourself being a professor, you know what I mean, on this very topic. So I'm not going to bore you and the rest of the audience on why that is the case. But yes, leadership problem is one of them. The other is lack of institutions. And unfortunately, do we elect our leaders on the promise of institutions that they will build, or because they belong to my group or that group or whatnot? What is the basis of our electing our leaders? Or, in the case of Somalia, selecting our leaders, right? So, and then when they run for another term, do we judge them on how much they built in institutions or how many institutions they built? Or do we judge them on an individual case, or again, on what group they belong to? So even we as citizens are partially complicit in this problem.
I hate to cut you short.
Yes, am I talking too much?
I think that we need to move on.
Okay.
And want to business
yes.
question.
Ragib brings up a very important point that I cannot jump. I'm sorry.
I would like someone from the participants to respond or give reflection on. Okay.
So before the collapse of the central government in Madasha, fishing practices were such that, and had Ali Farah been here, he would have been the best person to tell us this, because he was a senior government official in Madasha on fisheries. When licenses are issued, there is a fee that the fishing companies pay for the license, and then when they finish fishing, they report back to port, to their nearest Somali port. And an authorized government official gets on board, inspects the catch, and accordingly charges the ship and makes sure that the ship followed the rules in terms of the catch, in terms of the amount that it's allowed. And it charged the gross fee. It's a discounted price, but a price nonetheless. Only then would that foreign vessel be free to sail out of Somali waters to wherever it docks or it came from. Unfortunately, that is not happening now, and neither Madasha nor the federal member states have developed the capacity and, quite honestly, the interest to do that. So that is something that all Somalis need to work on. Bihi, you bring up a very important question, and one of the things that I conclude my book with is the fact that Somalis did an excellent job in fighting pirates on land. And I do not take credit from the foreign fleets or navies in Somali waters. But their job was made so much easier by the work that Somalis did in coastal communities. And you measure that by the decline in the attempt. Okay? So there are different measurements. Where do you look at it from? From land or from the warship that's monitoring for piracy? The fact that there was sharp drop in these navies' interdiction or interruption of pirate operations shows you that the pirate missions that left the land were few to begin with. And that is due to Somalis' work on land. Okay? Now that Somalis have accomplished this, my book concludes, the international community needs to help Somalis fight IUU fishing in their waters. Should they fail to do that, it's only a matter that piracy returns in one form or another. So I'm not prophesying here. I'm not projecting or predicting. I'm repeating, again, amplifying what Somali counter-piracy officials told me. Some of those who led the anti-piracy efforts on land here. Once they saw how illegal fishing exploded with the end of piracy, the industrial scale crime got worse, as Fatima said. These counter-piracy officials felt betrayed by the world. I'm not going to say who, but one of them told me, if pirates came now, we would advise them to do their job better.
Thank you very much, Professor. And I think this time we're going one round of comments instead of a round of questions. I want to encourage people to give comments and reflections, recommend, and not only ask questions. Some people have ideas. I'll give you. So, any comments? Who has comment? You have a comment. Okay. Labo? Gabadhasan siinaya. And iyo ninkaas. Okay. So, tell me, comment haya, comment. Gabadha comment bay haysaa? Adiga su'aal miya? Qofkii halkan yaa wey. Adiga ma su'aal ba? Su'aasha waa igu kaadinaysaa. Aniga waxaan rabaa comment. Yasmin, adiga comment ba haysaa? Yasmin a comment. Adiguna? Yeah?
It's a comment also.
It's a comment. Adigana waa comment?
Yes.
Labadiinana waa comment. Gabadha iga bilow.
Assalamu alaikum
Okay,
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
no problem.
My name is Farha Hassan,
I'm encouraging
and
people.
I would like to thank you, Professor Awet, for being here tonight. My question is first, Do you have your books
You said
tonight?
you will have a comment.
Let me finish, Mukhtar, if you don't mind.
Aye, aye.
Okay. You have your book here. Is it for sale? And you have it for sale tonight. The other thing is, my comment is I would love PDRC to add on their webpage or on their Facebook page all links and all researches that Professor Awet has referred to tonight so that we can have it for future reference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is lovely. So brief and concise. And what are you doing?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you, Professor. My name is Nawal. I'm a school teacher. What I will recommend is the federal government and the member state should allocate subsidies to the fishing sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Comment? wiilashaas comment igu dhiib Cabdifataax iyo wiilasha dambe kulli commentiga saas oo kale hadaad u gaabisaan kulli commentiga waa idinka wada qaadaynaa meesha ka socotidna sheeg magacaaga
from Hogan Consulting Service. My comment is that the figure that you mentioned in your book that you said around $300 million, that was figure it was around 2012, 13 somewhere. But it has been changing for that one. Like I want to, update for that. And the second one that the piracy, how it started. It wasn't a problem for us because first time, it was a problem created by a problem. Piracy, like 2008 somewhere, there was an piracy. Everyone like happy feeling like safe country, everyone. But there was some illegal things that happen in our ocean, and the people that fisher people, have started to protect it on their sea. Then it became another business. So I want to add before stating the piracy situation, just to mention in the introduction that how it started. So because the people have to know that it came from the problem, like what happened in Nigeria in an oil system. That oil system, there's some people are looting there.
Mohammed, thank you very much.
Okay.
I think you made two good recommendations, comments. Be brief.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Mohammed Isa Hussein from Shortai Institute. I would say thanks and Mr. Awet for being here and presenting a very heartwarming and lecture. I would say if African communities or African leaders come together and make general rules and regulations to keep our seas or our properties that foreign people are looting. So I would say African leaders have to come together and talk about that issue. So, and I wanted to add a question I wanted to ask you before.
Mohammed, you already made a comment, and the questions will be for a second round, fourth round.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I will begin by appreciating PDRC for organizing this event, and I would like also to thank His Excellency Professor Awet. Short comment: illegal fishery. By saying illegal, it's all outlawed. I mean, it's not legal. That's Somali authorities, Somali federal government, and the member states as well. I hope several officials from Puntland government are in the attendance. I think we can take a legal measure against the states, companies, ships, boats, and individuals involved in illegal fisheries. Let us do that to protect our resource. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yasmin, Professor Hadou Kusiyo, comments can and wada marno. Can you please make the comment relevant and practical, not philosophical? This has to be relevant and practical. Yeah? And of course, brief. waxaad siisaa Yasmin.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My question for the, thank you so much, Professor, by the way, for doing this. My question is going to be very different from the rest. It's a question, by the way, sorry, it's not a comment.
You are stealing the...
Yeah, I have to steal because you are kind of very dictatorial in a way.
Thank you.
So my question for you, Professor Awet, is I'm very much interested in the backstory. Why were you interested in doing research in Somalia in particular? The process of your book from one writer to another. I'm also a writer, so I'm very much interested in knowing what was the process, how long did it take you, and the research you did was immense and really needed, and it's amazing that somebody who's not a Somali did this research. So I'm very much interested in why, the reason behind it. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Abdi Nasir, Dr. Abdi Nasir. Dr. Abdi Nasir.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. I will change the language إن شاء الله. I will speak Arabic. ما دام تعرف اللغة العربية. حتى الآن موت اللغة العربية. وناس يعرفون أن تتكلم باللغة العربية. أعطيك معلومة بخصوص علي مهدي. أنا قابلت علي مهدي في القاهرة. وعملت انترفيو حول النفايات.
علي مهدي وحنكو أركب وير القاهرة. انترفيو وكذا.
معلومة لا ترجم. يفهمون جامعة الدول العربية كشران ما عليك يعني. قابلت علي مهدي في القاهرة وناقشت حول هذا الموضوع في نفايات في الصومال. وسألته عدة أسئلة لكنه أنكر كومبليت يعني قال أنا ما لي أي علاقة بسماح النفايات في أرض الصومال. فافتكر أن هذه المعلومة تفيدك يعني في المستقبل لأنه الآن توفي ونقول رحمة الله تعالى عليه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
I think that's a more comment than a question, and may Allah be pleased with him. Team ka dan si comments ka dadka qabo dan si dhalinyaradaas aan aqoontooda iyo fikradooda ka faa'iideysano. Ha gudbin dhalinyaradaasi. Nimanka ka dambeeyana si ninka gadaashaada joogana si.
And for me, I have a comment, which is pretty much close to what Raga said, which is the illegal fishing that you mentioned is solicited by the FMS and the FGS. And he was asking about some members of the ministries are here, but I would say some of the parliamentarians are also here. So the balance of power is not because of the only ministries, but I would like to hear from the parliamentarians what they think of the allegations about yeah, we have actually a member of the National Resource Committee, so probably I would like to put him on on the spot if he can say something about what's happening with Puntland, what's happening at federal level. Are there any? Do they have done any investigations? What they have, found it? It will be really nice to hear that.
So with him, we close the comment session and we go back to questions. So, Honorable MP, please take the phone and try to be very brief and to the point.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Damantimba. Mr. Weldemichael, thank you very much for the information you have provided so far. Weldemichael, okay. Now, you have to put me on the spot here. Having said that, there is a Somali proverb that says, rough translation, Professor, you might help. Maybe it's like every sheep is slaughtered at the altar it places itself, or it finds itself. So we can shed cries all day, but the point is we are responsible about what's happening to us. If we go back in 1985, there was a study that was made along the confluence of the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden area. Anyway, starting from Las Qoray all the way to Gra'ad, and the estimation was about $500 million at that time could have been harvested without damaging the environment. And imagine now, and Puntland is located in that area. So we don't have finances, we don't have this. By simply protecting that area, we could harvest maybe, make a value of like several $100 million. But we are not doing it. The government is issuing licenses that are about $20,000 they are taking, issuing license, and there is no one who is supervising how much is the catch and what is the cost of the catch. So it's our responsibility. In a matter of, I tell you, and I assure you of that, in 2010, the Puntland Maritime Force was established in Puntland during the reign of Dr. Farole. And the objective was, at that time, against piracy, but at the same time, to protect the coast, especially on Puntland coast, where the plan was that specific areas along the coastal area, there will be long-range airplanes, small ones, that can protect. And also electronically, every ship could be, they could place a tracking system, a GPS system, where they will know which ship has right to fish and which doesn't. But people are not thinking about that. The money we are losing is hundreds of millions of dollars per year, while by investing only about $5 million, we could save all of that. So who are we blaming? The government are men, and if these men, we don't protect ourselves from them, they are gonna eat our flesh. So with that, I said, I'm
Thank
done.
you very much. So I don't think you have a question to answer now. Yeah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I want to speak Somali because English was spoken, Arabic was spoken too, so Somali is alone here. Anyway, magacayga Cali Xirsi weeye, waxaan ka socdaa private sector-ka. Marka hore waana comment waxaan sameynaya maaha questions maahan. Marka ugu horeysa waxaan rabaa inaan u mahadceliyo sidii dadkii kale ugu mahadceliyeen presenterka Professor Awet. Thank you very much. Intaa kadib waxaan rabaa wax yar inaan saxo markii aad presentationka sameynaysay waxaa ku dartay Somalia coast line distance-keedu inuu roughly yahay 3,200. waa laga yaabaa meelo inaad ka soo akhriday, laakiin waxa weeyaan Somalia coast line-keedu distance-kiisu waxa weeyaan 3,333. haddii waxaan jirin lagu celceliyo hadhow wuxuu noqonayaa intaasaan uga jeedaa yartaa. midda kale illegal fishing-ka Somalia waa problem weyn waaye oo sidaad sheegtay waa sax, laakiin mushkilo kala jirta iyadana oo illegal dadku aysan u fahansaneen inay tahay fishing siiba authorities-ka jira. waxa weeyaan mataloo kale maamulada jira laysanay bixiyaan kalluumeysi, laysankaas ma dabagalaan mana ku hubiyaan in laysanka ay bixiyeen marka hore inuu waafaqsan yahay nidaamka kalluumeysiga ee dalka u yaalay horay iyo gadaalba u yaalay. authority-na uma leh, awoodna uma leh, mana maaragtay u arkaan inay mas'uuliyadooda tahay say u badan tahay. halkaas marka gray zone baa ku jira. maxaa magacyo loo bixinayaa? laysan buu wataa qofkani, caadi buu u yimid authority-ga meesha joogay, waxay siiyeen laysan siduu doon u yaalay, iyaguna kumay supervise garayn. marka businesska noocaasa magacaynu siinayno inaynu garanno waa fiicnaan lahayd, oo siiba researcherka waxaan odhan lahaa bal magac u raadi, magac ku habboon u raadi. waxaan kaloo rabaa inaan ku daro, dabcan waa sax, solutionka IUU-da waxa weeyaan in la helo dawlad responsible oo mas'uuliyaddeeda qaada iyo ummad ku baraarugsan, iyaguna dawladda laftigeedu inay iyaga u adeegayso oo ku controla muxuu ahaayeeto inay mas'uuliyaddeeda gudanayso in kale. laakiin mataloo kale dawladahan jira haddeer oo la yidhaahdo FMS-ta iyo dawladda dhexe competition baa ka dhexeeya qolo walba waxay siisay inay right u leedahay inay laysan bixiso si fiican sharci u kala qeexayaana ma jiro dhinaca bay waxay ka tahay positive aniga aragtidayda dhinacay positive ka tahay waxa weeye in competitionkaasi wuxuu keenayaa laysanka uu state A bixiyo biigu ma aqoonsana marka limitation buu yeelanayaa qofkii halka laysan ka soo qaatay inuu across the maaragtay cost uu ka kalluumaysto taas waa dhinac positive laakiin wax lagu talagalay maaha wax iska dhacaya marka anigu waxaan ka shaqayn jiray wasaaradda kalluumeysiga Somalia Puntland sorry long time ago na waxaan lahaa xoogaa background oo academically fishing la xiriira marka waxaas laga hadlayo fishing laga hadlayo iyo illegal fishing dadkeenu mas'uuliyadda inaga saaran dhulka iyo bariga iyo sida loo isticmaalayo mas'uuliyadda inaga saaran badda oo ka weyn hadda Puntland oo kale marka la eego half of 333 Puntland baa kale imgraysa inay tahay costiga sorry costiga dirtay wala maqlayo cod dheer xooga maamuleyna marka la isku celceliyo hadaa ku dhufatid 200 oo nautical mile hadaa ku dhufatid oo cc santka from the coastline way ka weyn tahay Puntland badkeeda way ka weyn Somalia waana ka dhib badan tahay accesskeeda iyo si loo controlo marka that's a big challenge aysan sahlanayn in la controlo in xitaa la isku dayaahay wax badan maaragtay oo tabarihi ma jirto oo wax ka qaban karta arintaas marka dad maaragtay dilemma even haddii ay good ay leeyihiin maaragtay niyad sami maamulka jiraahay wax capacity uu leeyahay oo inuu wax ka qabto ma jirto oo ku salaamay
rondiga soo dhamaaday mise waa wadnaa
one more time wasaaradda kalluumeysiga hadday dhowr mar baa idin weydiiyey ma ogtahay gabadha IC ayay markaa kadib gabadha IC wad ku dhaqso comment ama su'aal miyaa qabtaa microphone-ku waa kaa dansan yahay Umaleyn Maxamed
Okay. Magacay waa Maxamed Ali Sheekh, Wasaaradda Kalluumeysiga, Chief Scientist. And I would like to ask the professor the solution to the AAU. Can we have DNA testing to the fisheries in terms of, let's say, in our artisanal fisheries or the demersal sector, that if we find our fish in international markets, that we can own it or we can discourage, because I'm talking about the solution right now instead of just that's it.
Thank you very much. Kali, soo qabo microphone. Gabadha is wasiiradda sorry raalliga ahaw in badan
First of all, and thank you so much, and PDRC for organizing such a beautiful and useful event. And thank you, Awet, for coming and share with us your idea and the research you have read. I just want to answer only one question. My brother, Rage, asked the government. Rage mentioned that the corruption for the illegal fishing, the reason behind that is the government. I want to say only one thing. Rage, you mentioned one thing. We need a proof, not only talk. We need a proof for documents, touchable documents. And I hope that the Minister of Fishery and Marine Resource to attend this meeting, but unfortunately, he's not here. Puntland government has a policy and a rule for a prevention and also for the punishment for everyone performing such kind actions. We know illegal fishing occurs all in Africa, not only in Somalia. The responsibility for prevention of illegal fishing, not only by the government,
but also the citizens are part of it. So we need everyone to take his or her role. And I hope, Braga, you will send me the documents and you will meet the Minister of Fishery
Thank
and
you
Marine
very much.
Resource. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much. Ninkaan dhalinyarada ay sii su'aasha uu qabo.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته دمان كسو قبقلياشا Sayyid Al-Abdi is my name and let me say thank you so much for your research. Research is one of the most precious contribution to our nations and abroad as well. So thank you so much. My question is that it's about license. When I was working fishing projects in Puntland, I have seen the coastal districts and villages offices under the Puntland Minister of Fisheries who provide license to the foreign fisheries. So my question is that, according to your findings of your research, is there any foreign fisheries who have a license? If so, who are they? That's my question. The other comment that I have is that the illegal foreign fisheries, they are not only looters of our resource, but they also destroy our fishing net and equipment of the local fisheries. So that is the comments I have seen.
Thank you very much.
The information I have seen during the emission. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have got 2 minutes more, so I'll give Sulub and then I'll give you. How many questions do you have to answer? A few, yes. And okay. 1, 2, 3.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مركان سوماليا ku hadlaya xoogaa u tarjumado raaliya ciidamada badda Soomaaliya ma leedahay hadda jawaabtu waa maya ciidamada badda mal intuu dhow tirsan ba Soomaaliya iska leh okay way committee waxa weeye issue baa laga hadlaa issue hadda Soomaaliya bad baa maaragtaa la xaalufiyay kalluunka laga dhabeeyay wax laga dhabeeyay qashin lagu qabeeyay Soomaaliya waa issue weeye marka anigu waxaan ila tahay warkii iga raali ahaadana waa ku soo noqday livin ariga miyuu ka baxaya LIPIN livin ha waa erey waa acronym oo English la soo gaabiyay elku wuxuu u fadhiyaa waa leadership ayduna waxay u fadhidaa hore institutions Piduna waxay u fadhidaa principles ayada mara issues and kuna nation marka su'aashu waxa weeye issues baad ka hadlaynaa waa ayada dambe oo ah mashaakil iyo problems taagan haddii aan hogaamiyaal heer sare ay jirin institution heer sare ma dhisaya kii badda oo dhan inaan halano institution waxa weeye khatar military aan loo dhawaan karin satellite wax walba leh ma dhibisa karnaa maya institution ma dhisi karno hogaamiyaha markuu dhismaan bay institution dhisayaan kadibna waxa hogaaminaya principles oo corruption oo dhan baa laga waayay Afrika khayraadka ugu badan waxa baabiya waa corruption weeye xukunka baabiya corruption kaasa meesha ka baxaya.
Thank you very much, Professor.
markaasa meesha waxa noqonaya issue waa markaa loo soo dhacaya oo hadda ka hadlayno issue waan ka hadlaynaa leadership ka hadlimayno principles ka hadlimayno institution ka hadlimayno kuwa markii la dhiso midba ka horeeya institutions lama dhisi karo hay'ado iyo wasaarado iyo military iyo marines lama dhisi karo haddaan hogaamiye heer sare la dhisi.
Thank you very much, Professor. Aqoon badan inaa u leedahay markhaati baan ka nahay waa ka faa'iideysanaynaa ninka isi waa idinku xijinayaa waa soo xiraynaa waxaan dhaafnay 2 daqiiqaan gudubnay jadwalkiina loo qabtay marka waa ku xigaysaa adaa ku xiga.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Firstly, thank you very much, Professor, for coming all the way from Canada to present your case, which is really an important issue. That's number one. And also, thank you very much for PDRC for organizing this event. This was hot potatoes. I have written an article a few days ago about this. And let me also remind you that this is not the first time PDRC talks about this case. Late Muhammad Abshir Waldo has said a lot about this. I have written an article, so he was the only guy who has exclusively written about this case. If you refer, you can see Democracy Now! TV. He has presented even interviews to amplify that case. So, although questions have been stopped, but I would also like to.
You can ask one question,
that,
but you already made a comment.
Yeah, and I have more. So
your name and your institution.
My name is Ahmed. I'm one of the humanitarian workers working here in Puntland, but I would rather not mention which organization. And I'm not speaking for anyone. I'm just speaking on my behalf.
Okay.
So the question is, to follow that path of amplifying this case, I would really, could you please give us recommendations to continue amplifying this case, because this needs more attention, and it is, as I said, hot potatoes. No one wants to talk about this. We see even some people are overreacting. So, having said that, please allow me to share with you an anecdotal evidence in Somali language, in the interest of the majority. So, and kiiska aan rabo inaan idin la wadaago oo Soomaali ahaan arrintan waa horta arrin u baahan raalinaada hadday waqti badan qaadato arrin aad u
ma inoo soo koobtid baan jecelnahay way laba qof baa ka dambeeyay inaan soo xirnaa rabnaa
please iga raali ahaada sababtoo arrintaani waa arrin xasaasiyadeena leh dhibaato weyn inaan ku haysa oo u baahan in waliba waxaan codsanayaa PDRC ka codsanayaa in debate laga furo, because we already see inaynu hadda aynu hadallada isku celin yani aragti kala duwan qabno. marka waxaan idinka codsanayaa in debate la sameeyo oo arrintan laga doodo. wasiirada adoo iga raali ah wasiir anigu arrintan rabay inaan la wadaago waxa weeye 92 anoo markaa 12 sanadood jira, because sometimes the stories are good. waxaan joogay magaalo ka mid ah xeebaha Puntland. waxay ahayd xilli isku aaday colaad iyo abaartii ugu xumayd hadda lagu jiro waa faaminkii aynu isla garanayno 91-92 combination aad u adag baa jiray. waxaan xasuustaa markaa 13 jir meelahaas baan ahaa. waxaan ku noolaa magaalo xeebaha Soomaaliya ka mid ah hadda aanan magaceeda idin sheegayn. waxaanu samayn jiray baddu cid garanaysa habeenkii waxa la yiraahdo habso ayay samaysaa, way soo durugtaa, waxay timaadaa qarka. marka muddo la joogo subaxdii barqadii noqotana way noqotaa. marka aanu badda dabaalo aadno anagoo yar 12 jir meelahaas waxa dhici jiray meelo qorofo la yiraahdo oo biyuhu ku haraan cidii badda taqaana ayaa garanaysa. marka baddu noqoto waxa ku hari jiray kalluun dhowr kiilo laga yaabo 3 kiilo 4 kiilo inuu yahay. markaanu dabaalano oo gaajoonno ayaanu taraq baanu qaadan jiray bes. waagi dambe waanu baranay. markaasaanu intaanu dab shidanno kalluun meesha ku haray markii baddu ka noqoto inta qaadano ayaanu dab shidnaa, waa dhex dhignaa, hal doc baan ka cunaa aniga nin wiil yar oo saaxiibka ah. inta kale waxaan uga tagnaa shimbiraha iyo bahalaha kaleeto. anigu waxaan ku jiraa qurbi joogta waddan ku soo noqotay 12 sano kadib ayaan soo laabtay. waxaan qaatay call box meeshiina kuna soo dabaasho kalluunna ka soo qaato markaan soo laabanayo. marka dhulkii baan tegey markaan hawshay soo dhamaystaan waxaan ku yiri kalluun baan rabaa. markaas qof wuxuu aan u dirsanay gabar baan u dirsanay waxay u malaysay inaan ka dalbanayo kalluunka aan rabaa uu yahay macnaha midkan qasaca waa la helayaa baa la diyaar weeye. goorta baxayna ku yiri kalluunkii baan rabaa intaas soo magciisiyo bahalka la igu guro. waxa la igu soo guray oo la ii keenay kalluun qasacaysan oo Taiwan ka yimi oo laga yaabo in inta Soomaaliya laga xaday dib loo soo warshadeeyay oo Soomaaliya dib loogu soo ceshay. iyo halkaasay maraysaa maanta. hadda caruurteena gaajo u dhimanaysaa, kalluunkeenna dawanana waa la dhacaya, waana ku kala aragti duwanna. halkaasay maraysaa. marka sheekada waxaan idin la wadaagayaa arrintu meesha ay marayso. shalay say ahayd dad badan baa weli xeebihii ku nool oo waxba aan haysan oo waxay cunaan haysan. dad kale ayaan intay qaataan caruurtoodii u qaadaya. welina ma acknowledge garaynayno, waa ku kala aragti duwannahay. marka issue-gaani haddee waxa weeye aniga aad buu ii taabanay xogaa waxa leeyahay emotion-kayga aad maaragtay waan arrinaan muddo ku dhex jiray run ahaantii marka aad baa umahadsantihiin PDRC inaad arrinta tan oo baradho kulul ah oo cid ku dhici ka dhaani jirin inaad dadka isu keentaan issue-ga aad wajahdaan aad iyo aad baad noogu mahadsantihiin thank you very much
ninkaasaa soo xiray dhalinyarada bas noogu dhaqsada marka 7 minutes baanu dhaafnay
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks to PDRC for making sure that this gathering is fruitful, and thanks for Awet. I am Faisal Matan from Center for Research and Professional Studies. I'm a researcher, so I just wanted to understand more about the descriptions that I have seen in the book that I have now on hand, written by my friend Awet. So the question first, before coming to the question, I would like to emphasize more about my issue, to understand more about the contemporary challenges confronting in the Somali fishery sector, and to know more about the implications of the maritime security. I would like to know more about this, the following two questions. The first one is what practice constitutes IUU fishing and fisheries crime in the maritime fisheries sector in Somalia? How do these practices affect maritime security at community and national level?
Thank you very much. Ninkaasaa su-aasha ugu dambeeya ama comment baa leedahay mise su-aal? You have a question. Okay, please.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm a you from Shortai Institute. From my question is, why wouldn't countries whose fisheries are legally fishing in our country hold their fisheries and mafia-like companies accountable for the trespass? Thank you for the unique speech, Professor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Halkaas raalli iga ahaada waqtigiina waa nahayaa and ninkaana su'aalaha inuu ka jawaabaa la rabaa waqtigeennina waxaan ku darsanay 10 daqiiqo xoogaa dadku waxaan jeclaan lahayn marka halka inaan ku soo koobno. Can you please respond to these questions and give reflections then we can close them?
Yes, first of all, دكتور عبد الناصر شكرا جزيلا لمكالمتك وأنا آسف لو let me switch to English, sorry. I understood you perfectly, thank you very much. And I have to if I sounded like interim President Ali Mahdi was implicated, let me correct myself. I am not saying Ali Mahdi was implicated, but reports were that in 1991, 1992, some waste dumping was done in Somali territory, land or water. So, and I met interim President Ali Mahdi in Nairobi, and I told him specifically that I wanted to talk to him about the waste dumping allegations. He gave me his phone number. So it's not like I was hiding it from him, but if I sounded like I was accusing him and he's a long dead person, that would be morally wrong, although historically it's a fair issue to raise and to analyze. And on that occasion I say, may he rest in peace. There were several very important questions, but I will only answer. Farha is not here. The book is not here for sale. I did not intend to come. This was an unplanned trip. Had I known that I would be giving such a talk and the talk would be attended by such an amazing audience, I would have brought some copies, so I'm sorry I don't have those copies.
You can share with us the link where we can download the soft copy version.
Yes, and the resources that Farha asked, I will be happy to share them with PDRC.
Maybe we can embed it in PDRC's website.
Yes, absolutely. And I would really like to thank the honorable parliamentarian, Your Excellency, the Minister, and all of you for your questions, for your challenges, for the corrections. Yes, thank you very much. I really appreciate this, and how I wish we had more time so I could be more corrected and more educated. A very important question that Muhammad Ali Sheikh asked, can we develop DNA testing? Actually, some scientists, and mind you, this issue is a global issue, and there are many activists, environmentalists, and scientists working on it around the world. So anyone working on that in Somalia should not feel alone. And so Spanish scientists in Barcelona, some 8 years ago, came up with a DNA tracing mechanism to identify where fish are coming, so that they can ascertain the legality or illegality of its acquisition or its catch. I see two problems with that. As innovative and as important as that discovery is and was and is. One, for highly migratory fish like tuna, how can you be sure that this tuna was caught in these waters or those waters when tuna is known to be highly migratory? So yes, so I am not a marine scientist, but from my reading of that discovery, it is possible, but it may be a long way before that scientific sophistication could be deployed on the coast. But there are tangible, concrete, easy to touch, easy to see mechanisms of ascertaining who is doing what, where, and we are failing to do that. So that scientific discovery would be very important if we get it. Faisal asked a very important question that is missing in my book, but if you look at the footnote of my book, I state with which definition of FAO I accept as definitions of IUU fishing. So in this context, and in the interest of the audience, illegal is considered illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing. Illegal is considered a practice that is done in violation of local and international law, whatever that law may be. That countries, the international community has international law on acceptable standards of fisheries, the Basel Convention. And then individual countries also have laws and regulations on fisheries, including occasionally countries develop protected zones in order to rehabilitate their environment. So any fishing that happens in violation of these are regarded illegal. Unreported is straightforward, unreported. Even if it's a fishing vessel that has the license, if it fishes and goes, its practice is unreported. And the reporting is very important because that's how you can monitor if the catch is sustainable or not. And if in the process of, say, for example, catching tuna or other crustaceans, there are too many bycatch that would deteriorate the biodiversity of a specific fishing area. And unregulated is also, as it is, unregulated. Because when a fishing company or fishing vessel comes to fish in some waters, it's not just given a free or blank check to do whatever it wants. There are requirements in terms of what techniques it can use, what equipments it can use, how long and how much time it can fish. So if it violates one or any of these regulations, and I don't want to give you a specific formula because they're different from one region to another, that would make it unregulated. I think with that I should stop. Yasmin, I would be most excited to talk about my research, why I came to study this, and how much hard work, how much pain it was. I would talk about that the whole night, but we're running out of time. So I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
I think that we'll try to embed the link to the professor's book, this book, in our website, PDRCsomalia.org. And I can say that if fish and lobster were given a chance to talk at this PDRC talks, they would really thank you. And thank you very much, everybody, for attending this session. I know people are tired and everybody wants to go home. There are still some refreshment, so you can grab it on the way. I would like to call Abdi Queen so he can take over. Maybe say the closing remark. I don't know the formality. Wrap it up. It's wrapped up. Thank you very much.